This episode is brought to you by CarMax. Searching for your next car? Don't settle. Thrive. At CarMax, it's easy to shop online or in person. With upfront pricing and tools designed to help, finding a car you love has never been easier. Plus, you can sell or trade in your current vehicle with an online offer in minutes. No strings attached. Start shopping now to find a car you'll love at CarMax.com. CarMax, the way it should be.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
This is my song, this is my jam. This is my song, this is my jam.
It's the midweek drop, yeah.
This is my song, this is my jam.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to start this episode. Maybe I'll start by saying thank you, because this was very short notice and you heeded the call. Nino Brown would not have been able to make it.
That's because girls are fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
We make it work.
If you say
We're
so.
always there.
If you must say so. But we listened to episode 183, which is Amber Flags, together. And I think when I recorded that episode versus playing it back during the edit, I may have not clocked just how deep it was until the debrief.
Yeah.
Miriam dealt with a lot.
A lot. Like, you guys were so chilled.
Yeah, we were chilled.
You chilled.
Yeah, but that's because we're friends. We've been friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I know some of the stuff that she's dealt with. This was completely new because I got cut out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I wasn't in the picture for the 2 years that she was dealing with all of this. So I was absolutely clueless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it felt like I was catching up with a friend and I was getting old stuff, brought to the fore. But just from the onset, just dealing with long distance from day one is a lot.
It's a lot.
Have you had to do long distance before?
I did it.
And?
I did it for 4 years. I did it. And, long distance is a law. It's a law. And then to a point where when she was talking about the whole thing of the paperwork and everything, I was at a point where it was coming to that and we're discussing those options, and it was like, you come over and, what happens if you cheat? And I'm like, if you cheat, home office, you're out.
That was one of the conditions.
That was one of the conditions. I was honest. I was like, if you come over and we make it work, we make it work here, we're family. But if you come over and then let's say we just don't get along and we both have we tried counseling, tried everything, I won't put it against him. Like, I would have said, you know what, I need I don't know, I think it's 5 years or something like that. Then he gets his papers. I would have stuck it out because I would have made a vow with, to say, you bring someone all this way, from their homeland, whatever. Yeah. So I would have been okay with it. I would have sacrificed that. But my thing was very clear. It's like, if you cheat, I'm going to home office, because it means that we're not working to the same goal. It's, so I feel for her. Mariam wanted to, she met this guy, fell in love, and then she's like, yeah, come over, because obviously this side is much better, or there are more opportunities. And that was her hope. Her hope was to make life better for both of them. Yeah.
It was a hell of a lot. So one, there's the long distance issue to deal with.
Yeah.
And the reason why I brought this midweek drop discussion up so quickly, I wanted to catch this component because it's relatable to me.
Yeah.
Which is the issue of having to cut out very close friends for the reason of you trying to preserve what you feel is meaningful.
Damn.
And that's what I really want to focus on.
Yeah.
Because
Did you wait, Tinto? Did you ever go through a moment where you cut out some...
Oh, of course.
Wow.
I'll discuss that in more detail today. It's part of, because I think it would be useful for me to get it out of my system.
Okay.
Because maybe there's a few elements in that experience that there's definitely some stuff that affected how subsequent relationships were because of that. Being told you can't speak to
Tinto. What happened? Why did you cut your friends out?
So I got into this relationship in my late 20s, early 30s, thereabouts. Yes, I am a bit of a dinosaur. Just in case you hadn't clocked. Got into this relationship. I was excited to be with this girl. And, we're having a good time. I'm feeling the vibe. And she's all right, And then, I noticed occasionally when my best friend, who happens to be a female, would call. And not just a female, she's a very attractive female on top of that, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, but the backstory to this is we've been friends now since, I was about to say since when, but man, I'm going to calculate my age based on that.
Based on that, because you said
So we've been best friends now for over 30 years.
Okay, so
okay. Well, maybe not best friends for 30 years, but friends for about 30 years.
Okay.
And of those 30 years, 15 of them, it's best buddies.
Best buddies,
right?
Okay.
So grew up together, know each other's stories inside out. Our mums called each other sisters. I call her mum.
Yeah.
She would call my late mum.
And so you
mum.
never had this can be your person kind of thing?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so that wasn't there.
No. There was no room for there to have been that because from early childhood, she was my sister.
Okay, cool.
Period.
Cool. Okay.
So off the back of that, we were cool. She would call, and then my ex would always be. I should always get a bit funny whenever phone calls come because we would gist.
Yeah.
And we would laugh. Probably in ways that I didn't laugh with her. And there was definitely a streak of jealousy in there to say, how come this girl gets to be the one who makes this dude alive?
Yeah.
And I know I get him alive, but I can tell that it's different.
This volume is higher.
Yeah,
so what, did they know each other as well? Did they chat?
Well, I introduced them. I introduced them to each other, but over the phone.
Okay.
Because they never got the opportunity to meet in person. Because by the time I was trying to get them to meet up in person, I'd been served with the, what do they call them? Summons. I'd been summoned to the court and and told, hey man, listen, I ain't taking none of this. Now, unfortunately for me, I wasn't given the option of either or.
Yeah.
It never was a discussion to say it's either her or it's me.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just outright, I don't like you talking to this girl. Stop talking to her.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, maybe this is a joke.
Oh.
Until I clocked that, no, she actually isn't joking.
Shit.
But between I think this is a joke and I think she's joking, I would still make a few phone calls. Then I would see that the attitude I was getting from her was becoming more and more and more stern and more and more, unfavorable. Till I genuinely asked, I was like, yo, what's the problem with me? And I mean, what problem do you have with our friendship? And she goes, I just don't like it.
Jeez.
I'm like, based on what? Because I've told you our backstory. You know how far we've come. You know how close our folks are. You know how my siblings are with her. You know everything about this woman.
Yeah.
I just don't like her.
Oh.
And then was the whole, there's no way that guy and a girl can be friends and so close and blah, 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 blah. Which is a story that I'd heard over multiple years. And so,
I mean, it's tricky. It's tricky business. It's like I get where she's at. Like, you never know. At the same time, there's the other side of people can have healthy relationships. So it's just a question of what her background was.
I put my hand up and say, she is my number one person on the planet.
Best friend.
Yeah, best friend. Yeah, best friend wise. Yeah,
you're gonna get killed.
She literally is.
Because
I'm an open book. She understands so much of what has happened in the past, in recent years.
Yeah.
So anyway, in between this period of my ex saying to me that, hey man, cut this out, and me thinking she's joking, I'll still make the phone calls. I'm seeing the change in behavior. Until one day I was like to my homie, hey man, do you know what? I think I'm being told a really serious thing that I need to cut you out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey man, I gotta go. And she
how did she take it when
she was quiet, and all she said was, okay. That's all she said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then boom.
That was it.
It was gone. So because my ex was crazy at that time. But it's not nice to say that. In fact, I should never say that an ex was crazy. But because she was different, right?
She was hyper different. I can say.
But because she was different, right?
Yeah.
What she then said to me was, "Hey, listen, I'm not convinced that you've actually stopped talking to her, so I want you to change your number."
No way.
I'm telling
You didn't.
bruh.
You didn't. Was it an Ember thing as well? you changed your number.
At this point, I'm seeing it as an ember flag. In the same way that Mary, I changed my number. And I had contacts I'd had for years on the old number.
And you just go with them.
What could I do? Right? So girl rocks up with a new SIM card. And it was by a company I didn't recognize. Leica. It was Leica Mobile at the time.
Wait, she rocked up with the SIM card?
She rocked up with the SIM card. And she's like, "This is your new number."
Wow. I aspire to be like her, man.
And heaven knows why I was just so...
So you said yes?
Bruh.
Yo, man.
I don't know if I said yes or bad. Hey, before I knew it, SIM card in, SIM card out. I had no time to say, "Hey, peace to my niggas," and blah, 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 nothing. Fortunately, I knew her number off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Right? So I ring up my homie on private number. Because now I'm like, hey, if she suddenly calls on this new number and she's meant to have been...
Oh, wow, Tinto.
I look back at my life and I'm like,
what?
I still don't know what was going on there. Anyway, so I ring up my homie. I'm like, "Hey, man, listen, just so you know, I'm calling you on a hidden number because I've lost my old number." And that's how I said it.
Oh, you said you lost?
I said I lost.
You didn't say they took it away from me.
Ain't no way I was going to admit to that. Absolutely no way.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, "Hey, man, yeah, I don't have my number anymore." Then she goes, "But why are you calling him on a hidden number?" And I was like, oh, it's hidden. Oh, do you know it's new? Maybe like the caller ID function is off.
Wow.
And again, she just said, "Okay."
She knew.
She obviously knew.
But I tell you what I like. She didn't give you a headache.
No.
Because I feel like she should have been recognizing the need that you were in a certain space. And for her, she's almost like saying, "You know what, my friend, do what you need to do, but I'm here."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Rather than...
And that's why for Mariam, I recognized it when she was giving me the same vibes.
Yeah.
That, "Hey, bruh, I can't talk to you like this because my person won't interpret this the right way." And madam, like, "Well, we've got an innocent friendship. We always have. So where's the problem?" But I recognize it. And I was like, "Hey, do you know what? It's cool."
Yeah.
And I just put a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So...
Hey, but that was abusive, man. I know she was calling them amber flags, but I'm like, by the time someone is saying to you, "Open your phone, let me see who's on there," and then when she's saying he was going through names, one name after another name, and it's like you have to explain how you know them, why you know them, and deleting or blocking. I think, this story for me really is painful.
It's
I've got to tell you,
it's painful and relatable at the same time. If you're basing it on what you feel you're doing is for the greater good.
Yeah.
And what was unfortunate for me in the previous relationship along the same lines, what I felt the greater good was making this relationship work. You're not realizing that you can never have a greater good without a support system underneath you.
No, never.
And I would have not known because I'd never been in that situation before.
Yeah.
So 2 years came and went, right? Shit eventually hit the fan with this ex. But at the point that it hit the fan, the penny finally dropped.
Hey.
Why I was being asked to make this disconnection to my really close friend.
Yeah.
That's because her close friend had always wanted to be in her pants. And she knew, and she would always dangle this in front of him whenever she was tired of dealing with her then boyfriend. And she needed just someone to give her attention.
And then he was there.
So what that was a mere projection on what was happening in her.
In
her world and on her end.
Hence, I said the whole thing of if you don't have that healthy side, you think everybody's like you.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Shit.
So when this thing hit the fence, at the back of my mind, I'd always been thinking about my friend. And I was like, hey, man, I really hope I can reconnect.
Yeah.
So when Miriam was saying towards the end of her episode, she really misses Sarah. And she wants to make that reconnection.
Yeah, man.
But when she's embarrassed, she probably has a sense of pride somewhere in there, and she's finding it difficult.
Yeah.
And I, on the other hand, I'm saying you got nothing to lose, because for all you know, Sarah is the equivalent of what my best friend was at that time.
Yeah.
Because when I went back, and thank God she's still at the same phone number. Right?
Imagine she changed numbers. You'd have been going through high
she
five.
had bumped into her own bill who had told her to change her number. I remember the day so vividly. I just got off the train coming from work, just go back into my flat, and I'd been contemplating doing it for a good month.
Oh, to say, how am I going to tell her? Am I going to say hi again?
Yeah, and the number one thing wasn't so much pride. I think it was the looming sense of rejection.
Yeah. Like if she says, yo.
Yeah, so I've come out of a romantic situation.
Yeah.
And now there's the possibility that this could be rejected. I didn't think I was going to be ready to deal with the rejection. Anyway, picked up the phone.
Yeah.
My number was showing. She obviously didn't have that number because the other number was gone. And she's just like, oh, hi, hello. And I'm like, what's up? And there was a radio silence.
You lie.
Yeah, for a good few seconds. And then all I said was, it's Tinto. And she's like, I know.
You lie.
And then she still remained quiet, because now I think she just wanted to establish, okay, what is this?
Yeah. The other side is, are you calling me because she's listening?
Yeah.
And then, am I supposed to say something? Yeah.
And then I was like, if you have room for me, I'm back. Because the reason why I left is not here anymore. Wow. And all she said was, okay, let's hear this. Then she goes, but I don't want to hear this over the phone. I'm here, meeting such a time. And I went there. And when I saw her, she gave me the biggest hug on the planet.
Come on.
A big, warm hug. And she said she did not revisit and make fun of me. Well, she eventually did make fun of me after she had embraced me back. Yeah. Right? And that sense of coming back home is something that was so valuable and so precious to me, that in the next relationship that came after that, right, the person I was with says to me, hey man, I don't know how I feel about
Tinto.
But this point, right?
Yeah.
I knew within my heart what this was.
Yeah.
And I knew that this is my support system. I need this, right? If you are problematic for me as my next girlfriend, the person I'm going to be needing to lean on, you've taken it off as a crutch. So I'm just going to collapse and fall. So this person is not going anywhere.
But I'll tell you what, I rather all cards on the table. And then when I choose to stay with you, I'm choosing to stay knowing what you've said. And I also think that because my issue I have is we have society that says boys and girls can't be friends. Yeah. Right. And then I'm like, well, I've been in places where I've had healthy relationships with the opposite sex, and it's been absolutely nothing. And I think also it takes the other partner saying, oh, let me be friends with let me get to know your person before I make a huge judgment. Like you told her when it was early on, which I think is fair. Right at the beginning of the relationship, be like, hey, but this is my other person, this is my friend. And I think I would be like, oh, cool. Bring her in.
And they met.
Yeah.
And they became good friends.
Yeah.
And within the process of the relationship, she eventually said, now I get why you guys are so close.
Easy. Yeah. It needed that.
And then the relationship didn't work out.
But you didn't lose your friend.
No, I didn't lose my friend. And my friend was a huge pillar of support through the bullshit I was dealing with at the time. An incredible pillar of support.
Yeah.
So this, I'm bringing this up because we had a debate. we had a debate about Sarah's position.
Yeah.
Which was to say, listen, Mariam, right? It's either me as your friend or this guy.
Yeah.
And you had a problem with that position.
I did.
And the reason why I supported Sarah's position was because I've had an experience.
Yeah.
And Sarah knew what her own relative is like. She knew that these amber flags here, my nigga, are bright red. This guy is a walking London bus. He's a walking double-decker. And she didn't want to have to be the person who is now stuck between trying to choose a relative and a best friend.
I get that, Tinto. But I'm also like, just as you've had experience, I've had the same experience.
Tell me about yours.
Where mine was a friend, and my friend happened to be, I was in the middle of two friends, right? And they were both my best friends. And one of them ended up sleeping with the other guy as well. Other guy's best friend? No? How does this work in English? So I'm in the middle. I'm the friend to both girls. One of the girls ends up cheating and sleeping with the boyfriend of my other best friend.
Marloe, let me help you.
Yeah.
This podcast thrives on fictitious names.
Yeah.
I beg.
Let me use that, yeah?
Please, I beg,
Okay.
I beg.
So there's me, Marloe, in the middle, yeah?
So Marloe?
I've got my best friend. Let's call her Susan.
Mm-hmm.
And the other best friend, we'll call her Patience.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Susan sleeps with Patience's men.
But what's Patience's man called? Let's give him a name. Jaman.
Right? Susan sleeps with Jaman.
So Patience and Jaman are boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
Right? And then Patience and Susan are friends.
Right?
Then Susan
I'm the most middle person who's best friends with both, but But then Susan sleeps with Jaman. Now when Susan sleeps with Jaman, Patience finds out and says, "Yo, what the hell?" But then says to me, "Yo, other best friend is sleeping with my man." So I go to my best friend and say, "Yo, best friend, what you doing?"
So you went to Susan and you're like, "Yo, Wagwan,
Susan,
what are you doing?
What are you doing with Jaman?" Susan and I back and forth, and Susan says, "Stick your nose into your own business." Yeah. This is a long time sisterhood friend. Now I'm going in to say, "Yo, what you're doing is you're moving mad. Like you can't be doing that." But she outright says, "Stick your nose into your own business." At this point, I go quiet. At this point, I felt like I could have said, "You either choose between me or him." But I went quiet. I didn't say anything. But I was pissed. I was livid. Tinto. Because now I'm like, I've got two friends. But then because the way Susan behaved, she drew away anyway. And I didn't chase. Years later, I'm talking about maybe 6 years later.
Wait a minute. So I'm assuming Patience and Jaman then obviously broke up because...
Yeah, they broke up. But
Jaman
now
Patience...
Yeah, but then what happened is during that whole breakup, Patience was pregnant.
With Jaman's baby.
Oh,
my days.
And then Susan is still coming in. And I'm saying this is a mess. Like it's a mess. It was a mess.
Shit.
And so eventually I was upset and angry at Susan. But then so we didn't speak for a long time. And I remember years later, we ended up being in the same place, and she needed help. At that point, she reached out and said, "Hey, I've come to this country. I just wanted to say hi." But in a kind of 15-minute discussion, it was a difficult one. No, I picked up the phone first. Someone told me she was around, but she wasn't really doing too great. So I was like, do I call her? Do I not call her? So I called her. When I called her, I could have said, "You didn't tell me about
Jaman.
Yeah, we don't know." But then I decided at that point, you know what? It's happened. And, people need grace. So I just called her and I was like, "Yo, what's up? Where you at?" And she told me where she was. And I said, "I'm coming over to see you." Went over to see her. Thankfully, I was with someone else. And we went for a meal, chilled, needed to get a few things for her, did that. And that's it. We're not in the best friend zone anymore. But I know that if she needs help, she can call. And I can call her. So I say that, so that's what I'm saying. When I get what Sarah did, yes, Sarah did what she needed to do to protect herself. But I feel like Mariam was, going back to the podcast, Mariam was in a place of, she was in love. Ooh, when someone is in love, how can you tell them not to be with that person? Tinto is hard. And so when you're in love, it doesn't, you hear people, but I think this is where I think friends need to be a little, people will kill me for this, but I think I would have wanted Susan to give me more grace. Because she can see the danger or whatever. Then Susan say, "Go and do what you want to do. But I'm here," right? Because now Mariam's gone through what she's gone through. And there's a lot of things she said in there which were really painful. And guess who would have been the good friend through the whole suicidal thoughts and everything? Would have been Susan. Marion wouldn't have had to walk alone. But then now I'm like, Marion, I wish she picks up the phone and calls her friend. What's her friend's name? I'm saying Sarah. I wish she calls Sarah, and then I hope Sarah is graceful enough to just say, "Hi, what's up? How you doing?" And doesn't have to talk about what happened, who did it, and I told you so kind of thing, but kind of gives that grace. We need grace.
I hope so too. But what happened then to your relationship between you and Patience?
Me and Patience are best friends still. Because Patience and I, we sat down and we spoke about what had happened at that time, and she was going through the baby. I was there. She also was still playing with German until I got to a point of like, you're both moving mad. So eventually, she kind of figured when the baby was born, and then figured that German is useless. He's not here for the baby. He's not here for me and everything. And it took a while for her to snap out of it. So when she did, we were still there. We were still there. We were helping her out with the baby and everything else. And years later, she'll tell you, man, I made some silly mistakes.
So just playing that back, are you saying that the ultimatum you could have given Susan would have been a bad thing?
I think so. I think so. At the time when they're vulnerable, I think so.
I mean, obviously, she told you to in a nice way to piss off.
Yeah, she did.
Mind your own business.
Yeah.
But were you tempted to get her to choose between?
There's a moment when I felt like, I've been your sister, I've been your person for all these years, and we'd grown up together. Together. So I was like, she needs to wake up. This guy just came in last year. So who is he? But then that's my sister. In the moment, she's stuck on being in love in whatever crazy world that she's in. She can't think straight. And so why would I make her life difficult by trying to... What do I gain by giving an ultimatum and me walking away and leaving her out to dry?
You give her room to level out her head.
Yeah, I can just walk away, isn't it? I don't have to give an ultimatum. I can just give her that gap. Just don't phone as usual. Don't contact whatever, but give a gap. Enough for her to still come back. See, your chick, she didn't say to you, Tinto, if you don't call me, if you don't speak to me for the next whatever year, don't ever come back to me. No. She went quiet. Quiet, but you knew that she didn't like what you're doing. She went quiet. She could have said to you, if you continue with this girl, I'm out. She could have, but she didn't. She gave you grace. She knew what you're doing was mad. And then she was just like, hey, we'll see. Then when you came back, she was like, yo, what's up? I'm here. That to me is grace.
Going back to, say, for instance, Mariam's situation, which was incredibly messed up on so many levels, right? When you're dealing with long distance relationship, and then when you go home, you have to choose between staying with your relatives and staying with a new guy. You stay with a new guy, you fall in love. 8 months into everything, you get engaged. Within a year, you're married.
Yay.
You're doing visa applications, which means you're getting documentation, paperwork, interviews, money, marriage, because they had to arrange for marriage, right? To go, and then when she arranges to have a marriage, the guy has fake relatives.
Damn.
Can you imagine being in the same room and you're dealing with a fake sekuru? A nigga who ain't got a clue who you are as a woman.
After God.
Bruh.
Fear.
and then on top of that, she now didn't like the dude's relatives because she was like, you weren't there for me. And she's like, what are you talking about? Right? She's clueless.
Yeah.
And then guy moves. Do you know how difficult it is to find an appropriate home for you to live in as a family?
Tinto.
So you look for the property.
5 bedroom.
You visit. You get a 5-bedroomed one.
5 bedrooms.
You don't
it's
have
not
a
cheap.
helper. You move a child.
From their school.
Children form connections and friendships.
Yeah.
That child is removed from that for the sake of this guy.
Yeah.
Starts experiencing racism as a child. So she now has to deal with a child who's dealing with racism, dealing with a guy who's not helping.
But he's saying she needs to grow up.
Yeah, cleaning with the room. And then he says you need to grow up. Right? So you have all of these incredibly difficult
I was listening to the whole story. I was like, these people are laughing in the same calm. But I was mad. Correct.
And then she's talking about difficulty at work.
Yeah. Now she's crying when someone is saying, "Hi, what's up? Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm crying."
She's breaking down.
Yeah.
So HR is involved.
Yeah.
People are now worried.
Yeah.
She's had to change jobs.
Yeah.
And probably she had it good at that place. A pension.
You know your shifts.
Was all right.
You know your people. You know how to work it out.
And they
Maybe
know-
your travel is even easy.
And they know your childcare arrangements.
Yeah.
And then all of this. But this is what then draws me to what Sarah was trying to do, which is to say, my nigga Mariam, I love you to bits.
Don't do it.
This is my relative. Don't do it.
It's not amber, it's red.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And then I was talking about self-preservation. So Sarah now came from a position to say, hey man, when it comes to self-preservation, I don't have the emotional capacity. I don't have the physical capacity. I don't have the mental capacity to have to try and deal with the both of you.
Sarah could have taken a step back without giving her an ultimatum. And maybe because I feel like there are people in my life who could have said to me, if you don't do this, you're out. And they didn't, they stayed back. And now I still have them. I still have their guidance and their wisdom, and they're there for me. So I still feel like Sarah could have just stepped back a little bit, tell your friend exactly how you feel, to say what you're going into is mad, it doesn't work, I don't agree with it. I had a friend that did that, said you can marry him, I will pray for you, but this is mad. And he was abusive in emotionally and spiritually, he was abusive. But she needed to see that herself. And when she saw it herself, I was still there by the side. I wasn't completely involved every day in their everyday life, but I was there. Because what happens is, while we're doing self-preservation and I'm picking me first, right? My best friend is struggling. My best friend is going through suicidal thoughts, Tinto. And so, yes, I'm choosing me, and me, I'm fine, and my children are happy. But for me, I was never happy watching my other friend, Susan, me and her not talking. It was painful. I missed her so much. For me, that's the same reason why Mariam was crying when she said, when you spoke about Sarah, because you know what? I think she would have wanted Mariam there. And I think when Sarah looks back, she might be like, you know what? I could have been there. I get the distance, and I think people should draw distance and boundaries. Boundaries are very important.
She couldn't have been there because Sarah didn't know. She wouldn't have known. She didn't know what was going on.
She didn't know what was going on?
No, she didn't. She was absolutely clueless, because I remember at the end she says, I sent a text to Sarah to say, hey man,
because of the ultimatum, isn't it? Remember, if she had taken a step back without the ultimatum, maybe she would have known. We don't know. But then remember, I've told you, don't call me. Either go there or come here, and then you go there. So that means when you're there and you're burning, you can't call me because I've told you. There's a lot of shame and guilt that Marian is now facing. How do you go back and call Sarah and say, the guy that I chose is gone, is moving mad? How do you?
She did that and she got a positive response, I think.
No, she did. But I'm telling you, it took a lot. I bet it took a lot for her to even reach out to her. It's a lot, because now you're thinking, how's my friend going to accept me? That's what I'm saying. I think if you're Sarah, your place is just to be graceful. The same way your best friend was graceful. Your best friend could have said, nah, Tinto, you're mad. But she was graceful. That's the only answer to it, because sometimes life doesn't happen the way we want it,
We all have a stubborn friend, don't we?
Yeah.
That you can tell them, this is hot. They'll be like, how hot?
I'll change him.
How hot? How hot is it? And they'll still put a thumb. They're like, I got burnt, but I can handle this heat.
Yeah.
Don't you get to the point where like,
you can.
I'm tired of telling you the same shit.
Imagine your friend Tinto today commits suicide, and part of the note is, Tinto, I'm really sorry. And you go, I could have been there for you, but I gave you an ultimatum. I get I'm for boundaries. Boundaries are healthy in every friendship, but I'm also like, if you can see that somebody's jumping into the fire, what about giving them a little grace, just a little bit of grace? You don't have to, instead of ultimatum, maybe take a step back, and you don't have to call them, But maybe they could just know that the day they're down, they can come back to you. You were best friends. You're not just a friend. You're a best friend. This was your brother or sister, you know. And right now, your best friend, she moves mad. Do you go choose, I'm out?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Or would you,
I don't.
even if you think this is not good for my health, this could, you know, I'm going to put me first. You'd probably take a few steps back, let her go do her thing. When she's done, she'll come back. I don't know.
I almost wish I could speak to Sarah.
Yeah.
No, not to persuade her of anything, because I think her mind is in a good place already. Because her message to Miriam was, "Hey, you know, I'm sorry that happened to you. If you want to talk about it, I'm here.
If you don't,
But also, you know, if you don't, hey, you know, no love lost." Again, that concept of self-preservation.
Yeah.
In that she's put herself in a neutral position where, you know, whatever outcome you choose to deal with, I'm cool.
Yeah. Also for me, it signals that actually we can talk about other things than that, and it's okay. You know, it might never get to the point of them being best friends, but
And I still just hope the best for her, the best for her child who now needs to reposition herself. And more important, which is what brought us to have this chat, you know, I hope that connection with Sarah is rekindled and meaningful, because I keep saying this, I've been on that side, I've been on the other side, and being embraced back into the fold is the best feeling ever. I think this is what it must have felt like for the prodigal son.
Yeah.
You know, when he went back to to his dad, and what it must feel like for that one sheep which is lost. And the 99 are chilling, and it's brought back, you know, into the fold.
Yeah.
So, everybody deserves grace, right?
Yeah, everybody, even you, Tinto.
I ain't making that mistake again. But no, thank you, Marloe. I appreciate it. And you guys have been listening to another real quick midweek drop from the Phoenix Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and
Marloe.
We will catch you in the next one. Peace.
It's the midweek drop, yeah.
This is my song, this is my jam. 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 Song, jam.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 45% off select styles. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write a million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.